Well, I stated many times in previous videos, I'm not really religious in the formal sense, but I do know that there are other things beyond us that we don't understand. And I want to put this out as something, maybe it's not very commonly known, and I like giving people information that's not commonly known, and also, getting your mind wrapped around new ideas and new angles. Now, I want to really term this video, what the elite really fear. I was looking at some things I've had in my emails about, I think it was $650 million or $680 million, I forgot, in emeralds. There's another thing with caesium isotopes in the hundreds of millions, like almost $500 million in other isotopes stored in Krasnoyarsk, lower Siberia, southern Siberia. And, yeah, some people are very impressed with this type of wealth. But the spirituality side of humanity is the most important. And it's actually what is preserved and goes on beyond us. This was a very interesting story because it was about a Buddhist Lama. His name was Dashi Dorzo Itogolov. Hopefully I'm saying that correct. He lived from 1852 to 1927. Now, I'm going to comment a little more on this Wikipedia story rather than just read it to you, but there's a whole host of weird things about this, and just, to give you the facts, the raw facts, to show you I'm not making up a story. It's right off it is, but I think a lot of people aren't aware of it. But you also want to look at it from the other angle, that, people who pursue material wealth only, they're basically destroying their afterlife. I mean, that's really what you want to call it, I guess. I mean, whether I want to say it's religious or not, there's something beyond us. That's without a doubt. So this Buddhist Lama of Tibetan Buddhist tradition, he was best known for his lifelike state of his dead body, which is reported not to be subject to any decay whatsoever. This is the only time this ever occurred in all of human history. Now, you heard of the pharaohs and stuff with the mummification. You heard of like a prehistoric man being frozen in ice and they find him thousands of years later. There was nothing done to this monk's body, this lama's body, Tibetan Buddhist lama's body. I don't know if I have the right terminology here. Nothing at all to preserve it. Nothing. And it gets more interesting than that because, first off, when he was about 75 years old, he asked... See, here's another thing. He knew exactly when he was going to die. It was like... It's almost unbelievable. And let me get on with the story, though. Because at 75... he was asked other lamas to begin meditation ceremonies and funeral rites. And the lamas were like, we don't want to start meditation and funeral rites because you're alive and it's like, this is creepy, So he, they didn't want to actually perform and start doing it. But, so Itogolov began starting the meditation alone, and then the other lamas started to join in with him after he initiated it. And soon he ceased to breathe, and he died. Now, he told the other lamas to exhume his body years afterwards. He told them to do this. And what's really weird about it, they did this in 1955 and 1973. First, they did it in 1955. And they found the body, so he died many years earlier, right? They did nothing to preserve it. Nothing. He died in 1927. So here it is, 28 years later. They exhumed the body, and it's not showing any sign of decay whatsoever, ever. So they don't want to tell this to the communist people. They don't want to tell it to the world, so they just shut up about it, and they rebury him, and they re-exhume it again 18 years later, 1973. Still no signs of decay. No embalming, no nothing. And he told them to do this. Now, supposedly, he has an unwritten message to humanity. I don't know exactly what it is, but he also has a lot of natural pharmaceutical knowledge, too, which is something interesting in itself, because it's probably very, very powerful. It's probably very beneficial, cheap. It probably comes from plants. It's probably something you can make yourself or grow yourself, too. There's supposedly a whole knowledge of natural pharmaceuticals that he's actually written about, too. But he knew exactly when he was going to die. It's almost as if maybe he's not dead. His body, they said they examined his body. They did it again, and the last time they carefully exhumed his body on September 11th. Remember that 911. Now, this was not 2001, but 2002. Now, that's interesting, too, because it was on September 11th. And then they brought it into another part of Tibet, where they had other Buddhist monks approach the body and examine the body, and had all these experts examine the body. So they did this. This is the third time they did this. The first two times, they didn't want to make it public because the Communist Party just does not like religion. They don't like, it's always been said, even Lenin used to say that of Russia, religion is the opiate of the people. They don't like it. They only like religion when they control the actual organized religion, and then it's good for them because it's part of the state. But true religion, the control freaks hate. So basically, that's what I'm telling you about with the elite. Now, I know on the flip side of religion, there's a lot of people with 501(c)(3)s. There's the satanic preachers flying around in jets. They're loaded. There's people that sell DVDs. There's other guys like that. There's a load of they're garbage. Actually, most of the showboat preachers that you really hear about, they're garbage. It's like the simplest people you don't hear about, they're the best ones, and it's always that case. It's always that way. But this is really what the elite fear, because it's something they cannot control. This was the only person ever to have this happen. It's like he told the lamas to dig him up later, the Buddhist monks to dig him up later. In other words, they didn't know why. They didn't know. He didn't tell them that his organs would be preserved. Doctors and medical professionals examined him. They said his skin was supple, his joints were supple. There were actually, if you open up a coffin, you would think there would be a horrendous smell or something. It said it smelled like perfume. It smelled like perfume when they opened the coffin. And this is the only time this ever happened. He was not embalmed with anything. He was not preserved with anything. I don't know. You freaking tell me, man. So, anyway, so some people actually claim that Itokolov is still alive, and he's only immersed in a hibernation or a nirvanic-like state. I don't know about that, but, it's like he's probably alive in a different way. That's for sure. And, it does reflect, I'm a pretty good critic of formal religion, because I think a lot of times formal religion is a racket, but religion in a true sense is very, very different. So in April 2013, Vladimir Putin went to hold a conversation with, he talked to him, I guess, Itokolov and other lamas, and I don't know if he talked back or whatever, but that probably was showboating on his part of Putin, too, but I don't know. Anyway, imagine if he talked back to him. That would have been something. He would have said, you need to step down. Anyway. But make room for some other young guy in here, or some woman or something to lead Russia. But anyway, yeah, it's pretty interesting. And this point I'm making is that this is really what the elite fear. It's like beyond the physical realm. It's the unknown. It's what happens that's not supposed to happen. They always got this in the back of their mind. You know, they think they got everything figured out. They think they got everything planned. And I know they don't have everything rigidly planned. It's almost like, you know, they kind of have plans, but they go with the flow, too, you know, which seems to be the best strategy at the moment. But this type of thing is something that's unexplained. And, you know, I wanted to put this out because it's almost as if this person actually didn't die. He was, like, I'll repeat that again. I know I already told it to people, but, you know, he started, you know, he wanted them to start, the other lamas to start with him, the other monks to start with him in a meditation and funeral rites ceremony because he was about ready to die. And they did not want to start the meditation because they saw, obviously, Itagaloff was, I think I'm saying that right, Itagaloff was still alive. And so they're like, why do we... But so he started the meditation on his own. Then some joined in, and they all joined in, and he stopped breathing, and he died. But he already told them, before that happened, he wanted his body exhumed. He didn't say anything that his body was going to be preserved or to do anything. They didn't do anything. So I can say that this is some kind of miracle or something beyond the physical. It's beyond, it's what the elite really fear. It really is. It really is. So, you know, the one thing I always want to say is, you know, the fear mongers out there, sometimes you'll see these a lot of times on, you know, YouTube. Well, you see a lot of them on YouTube scaring the hell out of people. But the point is, you want to make sure that you keep the faith, you know. Whatever the faith is. I'm not talking about radical religion or anything like that. I'm talking about common sense, humanity and spirituality, whatever you want to call it. I really don't want to put a label on it. But, you know, it's when you don't have that positive attitude and you just kind of like get, you hide behind religion even. Sometimes people do that. That's the wrong thing to do. You want to be righteous about things. And here, you know, it's a matter of, you know, this story, it's an example of somebody that probably didn't die at all. You know, I mean, some people don't believe in the afterlife, some people do, and nobody's really got absolute proof of that other than some writings in religious books. But in this case, it's almost as if he knew exactly when he was going to die. He knew exactly what was going to happen to his body, and he didn't tell anybody about that. But he actually had a message for the world, too. But it's amazing. I don't know what the message is. Nobody does. Nobody does. I don't know why it's a big secret, but there's something really beyond what scientists can figure out, beyond what financial people could figure out. It's beyond what the false religious people can figure out that are just in there for the money. And it's something that the elite fear because it's beyond the physical realm. So, I gotta say, you know, here's to spirituality because it's something that exists, that's reality, but it's something that can't be stopped. It's something that can't be controlled. That's why the elite, or, you know, the elite, I guess, you know, see the elite is, what's the elite, you know? The control freaks, you know? The A-class, the A-type personalities. The rule freaks, you know? In World War II, they were the Nazis, you know? They were the rule freaks. And, you know, today it's the Communist Party in China, or it's Iran, or whatever, you know, somebody get mad at me for that, but yeah, they got some bad guys up there too, but yeah, they got them in the West. They got them all over the place. But it's almost like the ones that are low profile, they're out of sight, out of mind. It's as if they are actually moving mountains behind the scenes, and the elite don't see that coming. So I think there's far more to this story than I can actually get out of any information that's in the internet, because I don't know what that message actually stated that's to the world. I guess it's a secret message or whatever it is, but It's something that I think this is the type of thing that world leaders fear, that the control freaks fear. They always fear what is right. The people on the top always have a lot to hide. And it's a matter of, the truth is mighty and the truth always comes out. And, in this situation, it's another situation where the unexpected happens. And sometimes that's another reason why the mighty sometimes fall unexpectedly, too. But that's the reason also not to kowtow, just to knuckle under to them, too. Because it seems that life goes on well past the body. And this Buddhist monk has definitely seemed to have proved that. But it's not formal religion. It's beyond that. So be true to the faith. Be true to the cause. And the faith is not something that is very formal. It's something that is, I guess you would call it spiritual. But the elite fear this. They fear this. Because the elite are all into the material world. I was thinking about this stuff because I was looking at some of my old emails about some of these crazy deals that were attempted that it was like hundreds of millions of dollars. God, it was like astronomical. Astronomical. And, it's like that should not be your direction. Your direction should be the same type of direction as these Buddhist monks. But it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be a Buddhist monk. You could be a mechanic or a body repair. You could be, a farmer. You could be a landscaper. You could be a carpenter, a framer. Doesn't matter. Because it's almost as if there's more to this world than the material world. And it's basically that's what the elite fear. But like I said, I am not very formally religious, and I realize a lot of people that are, I'd say most people that are very formally religious, they're so full of it, it's beyond belief. I mean, it's not like they're not going to be performing any miracles. They're about as bad as the elite. But I can tell you that the truth is something that is extremely mighty, and it'll move mountains, and it'll topple the biggest of the baddest of the worst people on the top unexpectedly in ways they can just never fathom or plan for. So this is more proof of the strength of humanity, as long as people are not veered away from the truth, as long as they stay with the true faith, the true cause. That doesn't necessarily mean Christ. It doesn't necessarily mean Buddha. It doesn't necessarily mean a particular philosopher or spiritual leader. But everybody seems to know inside what the actual truth is. So I'm not pushing a particular religion. But that's exactly what the elite actually fear. And they damn well know it. No matter how much money and power they got worries. And there's good reason they got a lot of worries. For good reason. Because they're on the wrong side of righteousness all the way.